Got it.
Okay, go.
Okay.
Are we dancing?
All righty. Boom, we are live. Welcome everybody to the Out Loud podcast in conjunction with the Out Loud anthology LGBTQIA 2A 2S stories. Me and my co-host Dougie Fresh. That's not his name. Douglas Calla. Calla.
Kala, yeah, yeah. Yep.
Calla. Today we are focusing on another queer. I might have said I didn't ask her them prior. I'm the worst person to do this podcast. I'm horrible at pronouns. I'm horrible at speaking correctly. We'll get canceled next year. But we have Kelly Mary, who identifies somewhere on the spectrum, who we will be interviewing today and will be featuring. Um, Hi, Kelly.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Kelly also has a new collection coming out with Red or Green Books, which is obviously what we are under now for some reason. Um, so we're gonna talk to her about that today. Uh, yeah, Dougie Fresh, start us off. What we got?
What do we got? Let's see. Um, let's see. So you live in Toronto, right?
I do. I live in Toronto. I like to
Okay.
phrase it as I live in a concrete shoebox in the Toronto sky.
Okay. Nice. Does you living there, is your work informed by you living there?
A little bit. I think it's hard to escape the sort of the world that surrounds you. And one of the great things about Toronto is it is one of the most multicultural cities in the world. And so, you get exposed to so many different types of people, so many different ways of life. We have a really vibrant queer scene. And it's just nice to have that to fall back on. My family lives in very small towns, so I get to see the strength of those small communities, which
Mhm.
is lovely. But I love the sort of chaotic mishmash that is the city. And that tends to go pretty well with my chaotic mishmash that is my poetry.
Right on.
Yeah, how do they say it out there? The men's them, the youths out there with the men's them.
Yeah, Shockie found an Instagram video this morning of
Uh,
Toronto youths or Toronto youths talking about Toronto youths. I guess youths is the appropriate term. My bad.
The
And
Toronto accent is crazy, y'all. Like I thought Drake was making it up, and I was like, he just does it
not.
straight. Really, how they talk, and yuck.
Did you just yuck my local accent?
You don't have it, thank God. I
I
probably would.
know.
I would probably kick you out of the Zoom if you said anything that sounded like.
To be honest, a lot of it comes from the Caribbean diaspora,
I know.
Interesting. Okay.
which is really ridiculous when you see the white Toronto boys doing it. Because it feels like an aggression. Not even a microaggression, like at least a medium aggression.
It definitely is. So since I messed it up in the beginning, can you introduce yourself, identify how you identify with your pronouns, which I now see are on the screen, so I was right. But yeah.
Yes, I am Kelly Mary McAllister. I am a poet based out of Toronto, as we have established. My pronouns are she and her, and I identify as queer because it's easier. I guess bisexual is what I've gone with for the most part. But you also end up in that weird tail chasing thing of, is it bisexual because of two genders? What if there are more genders? And then you're like, no, it's bisexual as in homo versus hetero. bisexual as in all, and then why not pansexual? And I'm not that interested in labels, you know?
Yeah.
You're an elder millennial. I mean,
I'm an
who
elder
never
millennial.
were.
I did too many BuzzFeed quizzes. I can tell you which Disney princess I am, but please don't make me identify my sexuality with any firmness.
Yes, a lot has changed since we were young. I have fun talking to the queer youths, as they
Mhm.
say in Toronto. But like I don't even be understanding. Like even when I get on like Tinder, I don't understand like what it says. Like it'll be like I am a pan lobotomy trans cat person.
There are no trans cat people. It's interesting. Okay,
I
so
don't know what it means.
here's an anecdote. I was, and this is going to date me, so this is going to be old. I'm going to sound old, okay? Just don't call me out on it. But I was at work and I was talking with my friends about online dating, and we were talking about OkCupid because this was like the apps were, I think the apps existed but didn't have the traction they have now. So we were talking about OkCupid, and we were low-key making fun of the number of options that you can choose on OkCupid. And then at one point we were going through the list and we're like, what even is demisexual? What even is that? And then I Googled it and I was like, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the thing that I am.
Yeah.
Maybe I should be less of a smug bitch.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's interesting.
So
Um,
I've actually, if I'm going full identification, I've probably evolved to go from demisexual to demi-romantic. In that I can hook up with people, no problem, but not wanting any more than hooking up with them very rarely.
mhm. We don't know what you're talking about, but mhm, mhm.
What are you also commitment phobes?
Am I also what?
A
Commitment
commitment
phobe?
phobe?
Oh, absolutely not. If this looked better, I would be married. I all about commitment. Let's go. Get married and have them kids. I'm a little bit old now. It ain't gonna happen. But at one point, yeah, I was all about it.
Oh man, I'm the opposite. I come from a multiple broken home situation, and my sister and I dealt with it very differently. She went the very traditional route. You know, she got married, they bought a house, they bought a minivan, they had kids, you know, and she's a fantastic mom. Watching her raise my nieces is just an incredible gift. But you could not pay me to lead that life. You could not pay me.
So you have a new book coming out.
I do.
Tell us about that.
Okay. It's my debut poetry collection. And I've been writing for a while and I've published in a few journals, but this will be the first time that I actually bring my works together in a cohesive collection. It's called Dead Weight, and it has three parts. The weight, talking about what it's like to move through the world as a fat cis woman. The dead, talking about the people that I've lost in the last few years. I had a series of hard deaths. It started with my cat. And I was like, this is terrible. And then a very close friend died by suicide. And
Mm.
I was like, oh no, that's way worse, much harder. And then I lost an uncle that I had a complicated relationship with, a lot of estrangement, who'd struggled with heroin addiction his whole life. And that was a complicated loss because you still feel it and you still mourn it, but you don't feel fully entitled to it. And there's there's just so many layered emotions that go into that. You know, as my grandmothers are getting older, starting to worry about what that will be because I'm very close with one, not close at all with the other. And so like what does that look like? How do my sister and I support my mother through that process? So the second part of the book is a lot of grief poetry. And then the final part of the book is the dead weight chapter. And that's about being mentally ill and physically disabled and feeling like dead weight because it is not fun. So a
It's
lot
just,
of those poems are a bit depressing.
yeah,
Sorry.
it's a very relatable collection. As someone who got to read older versions of it, I'm sure it's not the same as when you sent it to me a long time ago, but um, I think it's a very necessary collection, and I'm very excited that you are publishing it. I hope great success for it.
Thank you.
I hate that you're in Canada because I want to buy the book, but I think I have to do it through PayPal instead of Cash App, and I don't have money in my PayPal right now. But by the
It's
end of
not
this
going to be
weekend,
out
I'm
for
buying that
months.
book. Huh?
It's not going to be out for a couple months. You got time.
All right. Um,
Uh, see, tell us about your performance poetry journey.
Ah, spoken word.
Yeah.
It's Shockie's fault, actually. It's Shockie's fault. 100% of the blame and accountability lies on Shockie's shoulders. Um, she encouraged me to do my first slam, and then I won my first slam, which was totally beginner's luck. Totally beginner's luck. But I won my first slam, and I've been sort of doing them around the Toronto scene. I'll do them online occasionally, but online feels weird. It
Yeah, I
feels
hear
pretty
you.
strange to do
Yeah.
performance poetry without that like crowd
Hmm.
interaction.
Yeah.
I actually had a slam last night. And I find slam poetry such an interesting phenomenon. Like the first thing that I remember noticing about it is, my God, it's an incredibly positive space. Like extremely positive. And my parents, like my mom's an ex-military cop, so like I was raised with a certain amount of directness. And so I'm used to being the wishy-washy softy in the room. But I thought I was nice, and then I went to a spoken word session and was like, oh damn, I'm awful. I am mean. I gotta be nicer. But like the positivity in the space is incredible. The judging is weird. The judging is always going
Yeah.
to be weird
It
and
is weird. Yeah.
unpredictable
Yeah.
because it's so subjective. Um, in fact, the poem I performed yesterday, the first round poem that got a really good response and I was really happy with, is actually a poem about slam poetry. And I wrote it after bombing at a slam. And it's really hard to, intellectually, that it's subjective. There's plenty of people telling you how meaningful your art was for them. It's hard to leave a slam because everybody wants to come up and talk to you afterwards, and you feel kind of
Uh-huh. Yeah.
strange
Yeah.
with all those parasocial relationships. And I always feel really bad, like such an imposter, when people sort of come up to tell me how much they appreciated my work, and I super appreciate it, but I feel so undeserving of it. And I don't know how to have that conversation. No one teaches you how to have a conversation with a stranger about your deepest secrets.
hmm
True that. Yeah.
That's funny. This time last year, I did a live paid performance, and that was my feedback to the person that was talking to me. Like, when you want to be a poet, no one tells you about that interaction.
Hmm.
Because like I got off stage and I was like, man, that was a heavy piece. And then you have someone come up to you like, oh, when I was 12, and you like you can't be like, man, fuck you. I don't want to hear
Hmm.
your because they just listen, you know what I mean? So and sometimes you're not in the space for it. So
Hmm.
more and more I've been learning how to like flip it back on them so it's not about me.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's something that they don't you're never ready for in the beginning.
No. And it's a strange thing because I crave it and I hate it at the same time. Where I'm
Right.
like, yes, give me all your praise. I am greedy for it. But I'm also like, but also don't talk or look at me in any way. Like the dichotomy of that is very confusing. And so I guess to bring this back to my original point, can you tell I have ADHD? Um, but to bring it back to my original point, um, I think that it's remarkable to see so many people be willing to get on stage and practice radical vulnerability in a space where people are practicing radical kindness. And that's just so antithetical to the modern world. Like people are present, even when you're recording, the recording sets for later on and people taking pictures for Instagram and what have you. Like the audiences are so present. The way they interact, the way they respond, the snapping, the callbacks, the go off poet. Like it feels like a throwback to a different time. And I really like that aspect of it.
Hmm.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
And now, Doug, you do a lot of performance poetry. You don't slam though, right? It's mostly just performance poetry.
Mostly just features, yeah, for the most part,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a couple slams, but I haven't really placed too well on them for some reason. Um,
Yeah, I'm learning that too. Once you get out of the echo chamber, things are a little bit different, right?
Well, you just
Um,
move into a different echo chamber.
yeah, it's I'm
Like
finding
yeah,
my
true.
different styles are popular in different groups.
yeah.
And I've made peace with the fact that the style that I practice feels authentic to me.
Yeah.
And it's not always going to get the best scores. Like it's just not. It's not the traditional kind. It's not as forceful as a lot of people go. And I'm okay with that. At first, I really doubted myself and felt like I should try to emulate that style, but it didn't sit right on me. Like
Yeah.
I have to do my art in my way. And what I find really interesting is that it tends to resonate more with the other poets in the room than it does with the general audience.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
what you're saying. Yeah.
Mhm. And so when you feature Doug, do you prefer Doug or Douglas?
Doug is fine. Yeah,
Okay, so when you feature,
Doug's great.
do you do it at a lot of like open mics?
Yeah, I've done like no, what I've done is I do open mics and then I also do like sometimes I'll do an open mic and then a feature will arise out of the open mic.
Yeah,
They'll call me back to do a feature, you know?
nice.
So I've gotten paid before. That's pretty cool. Like
Nice.
paid features are nice, yeah.
I know, isn't it surprising too when they hand you cash and you're like, for me?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
My
yeah.
precious.
Yeah, it's
What do you
wild.
what do you find are the differences between like a slam environment and an open mic environment?
Huh. Open mic, I don't know. Slam is more like there's less I don't know if there's less camaraderie among the poets, but maybe there is. In open mic format, like everybody is kind of like I feel like they're on the same playing field.
Mm,
Whereas in a slam, like everybody's trying to bring their A game, and like
hmm
there's a lot of contention I think among people because everybody wants they're kind of vying for the same thing,
hmm
you know. But open mic is more like forgiving, I think. I don't know.
Forgiving is a
Yeah.
great word for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was told basically like an open mic, everyone is just there. They're gonna clap. Even if you do bad, people are gonna clap because it's an
Yeah,
open
the
mic.
yeah, the support is always going to be there at an open mic, but when you're at a slam, like I think like you, you get, I mean, it's not just reflected on the point score. I think it's also
Hmm
reflected in just the response. People like whether people like snap for you or they don't. If they're like crickets in the room, like you bombed, things like that.
Yeah.
That's why I love the Toronto slam scene though, because honestly, at least the ones I've been at the last year, it's so pure. There was a finals. So we have this thing called Poems in Passage. You can follow it on Instagram at Poems in Passage. But it's a group that puts poetry onto our public transit.
Oh, cool.
And they did a slam where you were sort of competing to be one of their featured poets. And for money, because the money was good too. And they did semifinals and then they did a finals. And at the finals, the host, Britta B, who you can also follow on Instagram and is wonderful if you are not already following. Don't shake your head at me, Shockie. I gotta get people into the Toronto scene. Um, Britta B was specifically saying that the competitors were being so supportive of each other and that she found that notable and interesting and
Okay.
loved it. And that's just the scene that I have been introduced to. And it's been very positive and very warm. I've almost enjoyed it more than open mic, only because with open mic, sometimes I doubt the sincerity,
Mhm.
you know? Like I like when someone's like, you did a good job, and then leaves it at that when I've done an okay job. But sometimes with open mic, the praise is so effusive, and you're like, I did not do that well. I did not do as well as you were
Yeah.
making it sound like I did. I know myself. We can be honest. That was adequate.
So, it's 6:30.
Hmm.
I'm dying.
Please don't die. That would be very confusing for the listeners.
6:30. At this point, we normally give you 15 minutes to kind of do your thing with your
Okay.
poetry or, whatever medium you have. If you want to show us artwork, you can. It is what it is.
This is a
Uh,
podcast, right? Like
yes,
you're
but the
gonna put it
video,
on Spotify? It would be super hard to put that artwork onto
the
Spotify.
video is on Spotify. Thank you.
Oh,
This is
okay.
this
All
will be
right.
on
You win
Spotify.
this round.
I will win this round and the next one. I don't lose. Um, you just took 1 minute away from your 15 minutes. And then afterwards, we will ask more questions.
Harsh but fair. All right. I guess I'll start with the poem about slam poetry. Why'd you have to spotlight my face? Hold on, I gotta get rid
Spotify.
of
We
that.
just had this conversation.
I know, but I hate my face. I hate well, that came out very wrong. I hate
I didn't
having
like
to
your
look at my
face.
face while I talk.
Uh,
Because then you just end up analyzing your own facial expression. And
I,
it gets very uncanny valley very quickly. Um, but I guess I bet I should start with the poem that I mentioned, the slam poem about slam poetry. Even though you listened to it yesterday, Shockie, so sorry. I'm not sorry. Okay, let me just pull it up. There we go. Why did I bother doing that? It's memorized. I hate that my self-loathing is always lurking right beneath the surface, just waiting for a few flakes of failure to chum the water in its service. I can feel it down there, swimming around beneath my feet, while I balance on this flimsy paddleboard, trying to stabilize my core, trying to be positive more. But my muscles are getting sore and I've lost track of the score. What the fuck did I even come out here for? It's not enough for me to write. I want to be understood. I want someone to look me in the eyes and tell me that I'm good, that I'm understood, that my life is more than some antiquated idea of spinsterhood. So I paddle out here, open seas all around. I'm not a very strong swimmer. I hope I do not drown. I scream out my secrets like no one is around, reading poems about breakdowns and performing like a clown. And why do I do it? So that I can feel found, or maybe just seen. But finding self-worth in a number is another failing scheme. Whether the scores that I get or don't get come to that, or the number on a scale telling me that I'm too fat, or the likes on my new post, or my number of Tinder chats, or the raise I didn't get, or the partner that I lack, it's all just a part of some pointless combat. A false flag of failure trying to disguise this one fact that the monster in the deep, the one under my feet withholding the assurances I seek, has always and only shared my very heartbeat. I won't find salvation or the salve that I crave from riding these waves, from digging my own grave. It's time for me to be brave because the monster is inside me. You can't outrun your own rot. It's time to unlearn all the bullshit I have ever been taught. The praise that I've sought can't be begged for or bought. It must be fought. I ought to be my own champion, even when the waters are fraught. I can't control much, but that I've got. So no matter what happens, The self-loathing isn't winning. I'm doing it for me. You'll just have to forgive it. So that is a slam poem about slam poetry, written after doing very, very badly at slam poetry one particular night. But I think I'll go in a different direction and read a poem from a collection that is about the loss of that very close friend. It's called One Week. It was Monday, technically, in the lost space between day and night when the day before and the day ahead mix and mingle. But the clock and the calendar and the timestamps on all of our texts said Monday. It was late when you reached out, not for an ear or even a hand, but simply a witness. Tuesday, you took your son to daycare, the usual mix of relief and regret. Went to physio, rehabbed a knee that didn't work just right, that hadn't for a long time. Sorry, I lost my place. Maybe some things don't ever heal. Maybe some things can never be fixed. I took a shower on Wednesday. The strike of water on my naked skin, long overdue. Rivulets and rivers of that clean water followed the salt-crusted paths of the too many tears that leak from my eyes like a broken faucet. You had been taking cold showers, you told me, when I told you that I was finally clean. You knew how hard it is to wash the dirt off your body when the dirt in your mind sticks in the cracks and the crevices, the folds of your gray matter, and you can never scrub it out. You were taking cold showers, you said. These days. You ordered me bath bombs on Thursday. A box of bliss to be delivered after. Sweet scents and bright colors meant for warm baths, not your cold showers. I wrote you a poem. You said you loved it, that it was hard, but it was perfect, that it was you. You read it to your therapist. I can't think of a higher compliment. On Friday, you texted to see how I was. I did not respond. Saturday, you got an MRI for your knee, the part of you the doctors thought that maybe they could fix. It was something small, still significant, so you drove to Kitchener and you got an MRI. You texted me that you'd get the results in about a week, 7 days, give or take. I didn't respond right away. I was napping, trying to shake the tentacles of the migraines I get during those periods where I can't stop sleeping. The cause and the cure are the same. I was asleep when you texted. I responded too late. Sunday. A February Sunday. February of short days, February of endless winter. Sunday, the Lord's Day. Sunday, the end of the week. Sunday, bittersweet Sunday. Always under the cloud of what is to come. A February Sunday. Dreary and dark and hopeless. You checked into a hotel. You never checked out. My text turned from blue to green. Unread. A short related poem to that one is called Slippery that I thought I would give a quick read to. My uncle died in a bathtub. I think about that every time I slide into one. I think about you, about the bath bombs, the gifts for no reason other than you thought I deserved pretty things that smelled good. I think of him dying alone in tepid waters, slipping away, slipping under, until his lungs filled. I think of you, dying alone in a hotel room, slipping under the watery haze of the pills until the constant pain just slipped away. I don't take many baths anymore. I don't want to slip too. I think I will stop with the grief poems now, and read a few of the poems about being plus size. Ugh, I hate the word plus size. Fat, being fat. Even though when you say the word fat, someone always goes, no, you're not. You're like, yeah, I am. It's okay to say. It's just a descriptor. I'm also kind of tall, and that's fine too. But people get real weird about the word fat if they themselves are not fat. But this one is called vast. I've never seen a storm cloud that I could not open my throat and consume whole. No thunderous emotion I couldn't grind between my molars so I could swallow it down. I've held them inside me, undigested, as a vast ocean holds water, until the day my bones, my hard, earthbound bones, locked. The clouds pushed in, faster than I could swallow them. The storms were more than I could eat. The ocean inside me roiled and rose, the waters encroached, eroding the shoreline, a climate cataclysm, where the only solution the scientists can offer is to close my mouth, to shrink myself, when I have more than ever to hold. They are asking me to greet my feelings, those great clouds that terrorize my skies, asking me to spit them back out. They tell me that even if I cannot consume them, it does not mean they will consume me. They are asking me to trust. So with great trepidation, I will. I will sew my mouth shut as I crack my heart open. I will trust that despite what my eyes tell me, the shore and the sky will never truly meet. I will trust that even if I am smaller, I will never be small because my vastness is inside me. I know this. I ate it. And then, again, in a related theme, Shockie, I think this is one of my poems that you like best. The exercise poem. It's called Just Do It.
I love all your poems, Bess.
You're very supportive for someone that's docking me time. But okay, this is Just Do It. Exercise only works if it hurts. It's the pain that burns those calories. The internal combustion engine of the body is your suffering. Go harder. Your tears should slide down your flushed cheeks. Salt mingling with salt, an alchemy of perspiration and pain that makes your pump more potent. You should feel no joy. If you feel a moment of joy, don't. Health is beauty, beauty is pain, so pain must be health. There's no room for joy in health. You can find joy and joy when you've destroyed the fat, when you've earned it. You don't look like you've earned it yet. Food is only fuel, not a pleasure, not a pleasant experience, but a penance, a punishment. If it's good for you, it should taste like sand, disintegrating in your mouth into tasteless particle pieces. If you're not hungry for this, then you're not really hungry, are you? If you cannot fit into your pants, if the buckle won't latch on your belt, you should buckle down, buck up, make yourself less, eat less, be less. No one will love you unless you fit into those pants. To buy a new pair is to admit defeat. To accept your features is fine. To accept a futile future is fat. To fool yourself into the fantasy that others don't see your flaws. You can't ever let them see your flaws. So close your jaws. Diet or you'll die of it. Roll the dice with the vice of it. Don't you know that the last one standing had the life most worth living? Don't you know that the trophy at the end of it all is the smallest coffin? Um, what am I at time-wise, Chuck?
E.
Hmm?
You got 3 minutes.
3 minutes? Do you have any requests?
Nope.
That's not helpful. All right. We'll do a new piece that I haven't really read, I don't think, very often. So we will find out. It's called Social Media Sham. My social media isn't a lie, per se, but it's at best a partial truth, an obscured view for you of the reality of me. It's not that I don't want to be portraying myself authentically, but realistically and respectfully, you don't want me filter free. Show of hands, lovely attendees. How many people like when others post their tragedies? Do you want to see their naked pain and raw healed need beside your daily laughing kitten meme? And let's say that you do. Do you respond empathetically? Leave a comment like, you can always call me. Do you pick up the phone and reach out proactively, or just pat yourself on the back and scroll on blithely? If I'm smiling in most of my pics, it's because it's hard to take photos when you can barely stay awake. Hiding in your bed, which you never make, afraid you're on the edge of another break, another descent into a depressive state. So, no, I'm not documenting that for your sake. I don't have pictures of the food that I binge when it feels like my sanity is starting to hinge on filling my expansive emptiness. I eat my fears and then I cringe and sometimes purge. My eating disorders are starting to merge. It's not my only self-destructive urge. They're conspiring against me on the verge of a convergence where I emerge as just this handful of mental illnesses in a trench coat, my own personal scourge. Why is social media our barometer of personal truth anyway? When you greet your colleagues on a work day, say, "How are you doing?" What do you expect them to say? The truth? No way. Social media is just another airway, another shareway of the things that we want to give away. If you assume that truth is absolute, that's your purvey, but that way lies false comparison's doomsday. So I don't share my pain because I don't want your pity, and I don't want you to worry. Don't need a flurry of texts, well-meaning but blurry. So I post myself smiling. And it's not quite a lie. It's just not the whole truth. You do it too. You know why. Um, and I will go for a final piece.
Can I make a request?
Yes,
Do you have a poem called Killing Thin People?
I do not have a poem called Killing Thin People.
Oh,
I'm sorry about that. I'm not going to write it either. So I'm not promising that. But I do have, I'll read this poem because I've read it. I wrote it a while ago and it's become a little bit of a staple of mine. Okay. Oh Beast, a poem in 3 parts. In a forgotten photo found in the closet that serves as the designated tomb of my childhood, I am wearing a dress I remember well, remarkable only for how utterly ugly I felt in it. Stretched taut across my belly, cradling the soft swell of baby fat swaddling my middle, its straight lines incompatible with my new roundness. The encroaching curves of a woman, curves that could not be hidden by that simple striped dress. I was a whale, I'd thought, a beached whale. I don't even remember learning that phrase, but it echoed. Whale, insistently. Whale, in my head. Whale. It lived inside me as fact, grew roots, my very own tree of knowledge, where I gorged myself on its poison fruit for decades, my size as my sin. Part 2. The snake that lived in the branches of the tree of the poison fruit serenaded me as I ate, hissing songs of self-hatred in my eager ears, songs of my greed, my gluttony, my selfishness. The snake in his song broke me down, as he had broken my mother and her mother before her, as he said that he decided her value, not she, and that she could not have too much of anything, especially herself. So we learned to eat our own, taking out our softest, our softness, before a predator could do it for us. Is that an act of kindness, do you think? Or simply practical when margins for survival are so thin? Despite all my best efforts, I remain stubbornly soft, reduced to numbers. Pounds, pants, the goddamn BMI. Numbers too large, too much, which made me not enough. Part 3. Humanity has fooled ourselves into thinking that we are greater than beasts in the wild, as if we are ruled by reason, solely by reason, impervious to songs of snakes hiss deep inside, sibilant melodies of need, of want, of fear, of scarcity. And since the evidence of my overconsumption sits upon my very bones too big to be ignored, I have borne the weight the disdain of the whole of humanity. I have been judged weak by those whose own overconsumption, their greed, their gluttony, their selfishness sits not on their bones, but on the other side of the globe, or the poverty line, or a landfill. So they have been able to hide from the weight of their actions. I am only one woman, just an average girl, in an average dress, in an average life, doing her best to simply survive. Perhaps the weight that has hung my head so low for so long was never just my own. I see snaps. I see snaps coming back online. Thank
Snap,
you
snap,
kindly.
snap.
You took 3 extra minutes, so I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it
You
go,
told me 3 minutes.
and you took 6, but I'm gonna let it go because I'm a fan.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I didn't even read the poem about being a commitment phobe.
Maybe we'll get it out of you.
Yeah.
Um, Glasses. No, thank you. Those were beautiful pieces. I felt a little attacked by the social media one because I know I'm the first one to hop in your DMs and be like, "Oh my God, you okay? What's going on? What's wrong?" Um,
You're just being supportive. That's not a bad thing.
uh, but yeah, beautiful pieces. I'm really excited for your new book. And you know, while you're reading, I actually pulled this book out because I've told you before, you remind me of her so much, Rachel Wiley. How do you like how
Mm.
she's got like the
Oh
Benetton?
yeah, I was gonna mention. I was gonna second. I second that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
She does. She does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
very much of Rachel Wiley. And so I'm just excited for you to have a collection. I know it'll do well. Um, Shipping from Canada is expensive, so good luck with that. But
I got friends. We're figuring it out.
there you go. There you go. Um, but yeah. So other than Dead Weight, what else
Mhm.
is coming up for Kelly Mary McAllister?
Wow. Why are you saying that? You screwed up my name up yesterday, so now you're being
Because
extra
I was
diligent.
trying not to.
I appreciate that. Um, I'm featuring at the Flower City Slam, that's taking place in Brampton, which for everyone who's not from the GTA being the Greater Toronto Area, is a city to the northwest of Toronto. And that'll be on April 18th, which I'm really
Awesome.
excited about. I've got some stuff going on in my work life. It is what it is. And I'm working on arranging a launch party for the book at Buddies in Bad Times Theater, which is a great queer theater here in Toronto, which I'm very excited about because it's such a cool venue. I hope it comes through.
That would be awesome. I would love to support you, but I don't have a passport. So
We really
Yeah,
got to work
I
on
gotta
that.
renew mine actually. I think mine expired. Yeah.
we didn't need them as kids. Like I grew up in upstate New York. So you could
Mhm.
always just, whatever you want.
Yeah.
They do call that Lower Canada now or New Canada or something like that. But now you can't do that.
Not since 9/11.
9/11. Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Crazy, crazy,
Yeah.
crazy.
You know what I've always found interesting? Of all the aspects of my identity, I write about my queer identity least.
I was gonna mention it, but I didn't know how to ask. I was gonna say
Oh.
I don't hear a lot about it.
No, I know. Um, I find it interesting. I think some of it is partially because I fall into that queer bisexual bucket, and it's like the imposter syndrome of sexualities. You're just constantly being like, am I gay? Am I straight? Am I both? Am I neither? And then other people read into your sexuality based on the partner you happen to be with at the time. And in this day and age, with dating and the apps and how all of that works, it's so much easier to find men.
Men are
Her,
easy.
have you been on her, Shockie?
Yeah, yeah. I'm on her.
It's like just a graveyard of unanswered messages.
Yeah. I mean, I did meet two people on there so far that just weren't a good fit for me. So
Yeah. But like, I mean, percentage wise, like if we're talking ROI, return on investment, which is
yeah,
a very callous way to look at it. But if you're talking to like 20 people on her, you'll probably end up meeting up with maybe one.
yeah,
But like, if I want a sure thing, I can hit Tinder and have
right.
a selection of men, which is very interesting. But it's like a quantity quality question.
I was just gonna say that because like on Tinder, what I do to I just swipe right on everyone and then whoever responds back is like, cool,
Oh,
we'll be
you're one of
back.
those.
I'm one of those. But on her, I don't do that because again, on her, like I get matched with the weirdest people. And I again, I shouldn't say this on this podcast, but like there are I am a lesbian, right? Like that's how I identify. And I don't want to date a cat. If you think you're a cat, don't jump in my inbox. That's not
Shockie, are you gonna help Kelly find love?
Please don't.
no, she doesn't want to find love.
I don't need a fairy godmother unless they want to like give me stuff.
Yeah, I'll help you find a sugar daddy, definitely, but no.
No, thank you.
But yeah, it's weird stuff. And then there's like this I thought it was I think it ENM something ethic
Ethically non-monogamous.
I don't even know what that means and I didn't look it up, but like
It's
well,
basically
every
just poly, like polyamorous. It's just the new name for poly. Are you writing that down?
I'm
No.
finding a way to end the show. Um
So that's not a new candy in the M&M line.
No, it is not.
but there's so many of those different abbreviations and things that I don't understand on her. And so like I don't know. Um, like one person was like, "Hey, are you a unicorn?" And I was like, "Oh, absolutely! Like I love
Oh my
rainbows.
God, you are not a unicorn.
I am not a unicorn.
Shockie, you are not a
I am
unicorn.
not a unicorn. I was just like, oh, pretty things and pink and
What
bubbles
does
and
that
yeah."
actually mean, though? What does that mean?
Mhm.
It's a bisexual woman who wants to be a third with a hetero couple.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm not.
Yeah. Like when I go on Tinder, if I turn off men in my settings, like
Yeah.
every fourth profile I'm coming on is a couple looking for a unicorn.
Yeah, I didn't know what that meant though, so I was like, yeah, I'm joyful and I like pink and yeah, sure.
Some
No.
bisexual people get really offended by unicorn hunters.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
I'm not
a
mad
lot.
at it.
Yeah, I don't know any of the new terminology. So I do bad on the gay sites. But it is what it is. Also on a different level, talking
Mhm.
about sexuality. On the 20th, Kelly Mary will be on. I'm doing an event called Holding Space
Mhm.
for survivors of sexual assault.
Okay.
And Kelly will be featuring on that with others as well. This
Cool.
is a call out there. I do have one slot that I am saving because I want a man to have a voice in this
Mhm.
as the survivor and not as someone who wants to tell someone else's story. And
Mhm.
I don't mean that to be biased, but I don't want to hear men tell me about how all the women in their lives have been, assaulted. We know that already. But there are men that have been assaulted, and I want to give them the space to tell their
Mhm.
story as well. So, if anyone is interested in that, definitely DM me or message me on any platform. I'm there, or email me. If you go to my website, it tells you my email. Um,
Can I send you
but
a carrier pigeon?
yeah, you can do that. I don't like
A
birds.
stork, or a carrier pigeon? No, wait.
I think it's a carrier pigeon would be better. I think if a stork showed up, it would be like, whose child is this?
I would, I have a whole poem about talking to storks because I don't
Mhm.
have children. So, I might that might be false advertising, but I don't like birds, so they creep me out. Um, birds are not real. Dot
My best
com.
friend also hates birds to the point where sometimes she has to run away from pigeons.
I don't run away from them. Like I'm bigger than them. But like a turkey, maybe I'm probably gonna run from.
Oh, turkeys,
Ostrich,
yeah. Yeah, I
ostrich,
get
I'm
turkeys
probably
around here. Yeah.
not gonna try.
Even if a
Yeah,
pigeon flies at your head, you're still just like really zen about it.
yeah, it's. I'm not like Alfred Hitchcock birds scared. Like that movie doesn't got me have me scared. But if you ever like watch birds, they're more intelligent than they let on.
Yes, they're very intelligent.
They're very intelligent. Like crows, I've even read stories where like crows will bring stuff to people if you feed
Hmm.
them. They will like
Hmm.
weird.
That's
It's
true.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're brilliant. They can solve puzzles, they can build things.
Hmm. They're government drones, like
They're
all of it
basically
is just
dinosaurs. They're dinosaurs.
well, it's a good thing that the bigger ones got wiped out then.
Now I'm just picturing you getting chased down the street by like a big feathered T-Rex that looks a bit like a chicken.
If there's a big T-Rex chicken, there's that one bird that they keep putting on Instagram. I forgot what it's called.
Emu, cassowary.
No, it's got the big beak. Um, and it's really tall and it doesn't like sing it like
Like a
it's
Is
pelican?
it, is it yellow? Is it Big Bird?
no, not Big Bird.
Big Bird does sing a lot. You know,
Yes.
Robert has a point here.
This one doesn't sing. I will find it and send it to you.
Okay,
It's
please
like
do.
it still looks like a dinosaur. It's weird.
Oh man. Okay, so just for context, Shockie sends me videos of snakes sometimes because she's a mean person, because I hate snakes. I'm gonna start sending you bird videos now that I'm aware of that. But my best friend, the one that is scared of birds, accidentally sent me a video of a snake that she was trying to send to a friend. So I immediately get a like I got the notification and opened it up and was like, "What did I do to you?" And then I immediately get a panicked phone call from her being like, "Don't open your Instagram messages. I
Like,
meant to send it to my sister." But it was a snake in a robot.
oh
So
yeah, so that it could walk.
yes, so that it could walk in like a
Yeah, I see that.
tube. And no, no,
Yeah.
that's way scarier than any bird.
Science.
You know,
How?
I agree. A man who has a snake as a pet is a deal breaker for me.
Hmm.
You don't because you don't like
Yes,
snakes or
No, there's some things I won't do.
yes, yes.
all right, meatloaf. Um, I don't know. I don't think I would date someone with a snake either. But I wouldn't like, I don't know. I'm not an exotic. I don't even, my cats get on my nerves, so I can't say that I would have exotic anything.
I have to admit that when I was like 7 years old, I had a rubber snake. And when some people stayed at our house who were guests, I used to take the snake and put it in their bed. And then when a friend of my mother's came over, I used to put the snake in her purse.
That's cruel.
That's really
Oh, I love that.
See,
Sort of
sometimes I
mean
get
child.
brave and I look at the snake and I think, what an elegant, dignified animal. And I'm like, you need to stop with your snake slander. It's not fair to the snake. They didn't do anything to you. There's no reason for this irrational fear. And
They
then it
ruined humanity.
moves, and my
It's in the
spine
Bible.
just goes, nope, nope, nope. Like the second a snake moves, mm-mm,
Yeah, I
mm-mm.
don't like the way, especially on water. I don't like the way they.
Oh
on
God.
water. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Oh, I
Like
don't
on
like it at
water or
all.
sand, it makes me itch. But um, this is so off topic, and I'm sorry for the people who are listening on Spotify. There was this family that I just saw that recently they got an octopus,
I saw
and
them on TikTok.
yeah, they got an octopus, and then they didn't know it was pregnant, and it had babies, and so now they have 50 baby octopi that they don't
Octopi.
know
Yeah.
what that they
Really?
don't know
Oh
what
my
to do
God.
with because
Wow.
it's like the kid's first pet ever. I don't know
Hmm.
why they were so gung ho
What
about
happened
getting
to a
an octopus,
goldfish or like one of those
Like an iguana or something.
yeah.
right? Like
I don't think the homeless shelter lets you bring your octopus pet there.
But most homeless shelters don't let people bring their pets in general, which is actually a real barrier to people accessing services.
yeah,
That's true. Yeah.
it is.
Wow, that's a
Um,
downer note.
Yeah, it was just weird to me because like they reached out to like zoos and stuff, and you think a zoo would be like, we're gonna take care of this. You can't have 50 octopi in your
Yeah.
house. And they're like, no, we don't want 50 octopi.
But like, what are
I
we
don't know.
gonna
It's
do
just
with 50
the people
octopi?
who get like exotic animals. It's like I was just talking to someone, my coworker, her husband, now husband, had an alligator.
What?
Yeah, in a tank, just an alligator. And they were feeding it fish, and she was like, the alligator
What state did they live in?
we're in Pennsylvania.
Ugh, that must be illegal.
I don't know if it is or not.
No,
I'm
I think it's
sure.
probably not illegal because no one's ever thought to specify that it's illegal. Like some things are just common sense illegal. It's
But
only
it's
when
dead now.
someone does it that you have to get the law in place.
But it's dead now. And she's like, I don't know what to do with this tank. And I'm like, how do you keep an alligator in a tank? Like, I feel like that's
Oh
not,
God.
I mean, I'm thinking of an actual like Florida gator. It probably wasn't that
It
big,
was a little baby.
probably.
Yeah.
But that's just crazy to me. Like, I don't know. But anyway, staying on topic, Kelly has a book coming out. Dead Weight, end of summer, midsummer, maybe tomorrow. We don't know the release date. I just make it up.
Sometime in
Um,
July.
that sounds about right. Sometime in July, go to her website,
KellyMaryMcAllister.ca.
.ca, because she's up
Hmm.
in Canada, y'all. Up there with the Utes. The,
Okay.
the Utes
I'm
and the
never gonna
man,
live down that video. I'm
the
never gonna
Utes
live
and the
down that
man's
video.
them.
I
The
will
man's
never
them.
introduce you to my ex. I can't call her my ex-girlfriend, my ex-situationship, because she does such a good she's Jamaican, so she can do such a good impersonation of like bad Toronto slang.
Hmm.
So
Do you already have a beta reader for your book?
I do, I have a couple. I've stuck to
Okay.
like the Toronto scene because again, I want to sort of get those roots and dig them in. I did have Shockie read it. She was one of my first beta readers who was like, "This is not garbage." So yay.
I don't know if I'm the best
I'd
judge
be
here,
willing to do that
but
for you, Kelly, if
you
you
Thank
do
want.
you.
have out there a great resource. And I mean, I don't know her well, but I did get to interact with her at Walps, Lisa Shen,
Yep, no
who
Lisa.
is,
Competed against her last night.
did you?
Yes.
Eh, hopefully you did better than I did. Um, but no, she would be great to get a review from. What was I doing? Oh, I was trying to find that video. That's how we're going to end the show today.
You're
You
gonna
guys
play
have,
the video of it? Okay,
yes.
I can't believe we're on a podcast about queer people and have not talked about JoJo Siwa's single.
Did you hear it?
Sort of, yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yes.
I hate when you're trying to act food, fam. It's not good. You youths are just bad youths.
Okay, but how have we not talked about JoJo Siwa's single?
She's, because
I
I don't
know
want
it's
to
in
claim.
your head. You've
I
already
don't want to
told
claim
me.
her. I don't want to claim her. Okay.
You can't kick her out because she's cringe.
You kidding me? I've already kicked Caitlyn Jenner out.
Okay, no, she's toxic. That's different. Cringe and toxic are not the same thing. JoJo Siwa is just cringe. Cringe as fuck. But like Caitlyn Jenner is dangerous.
No, yeah, I was so the song that she has put out, they said was originally written for Miley, and thank God Miley turned it down because it's a horrible song. Um, but JoJo Siwa can't sing. So someone else also sung that song, and it's still as bad as it was.
And the thing that really gets me about it though is the video
Hmm. Why are you
because
humping people on sand?
I didn't understand that. And more than that, she is a good dancer. Like she
No,
can dance. She can dance. Who choreographed that? What was that?
no. Did you see the actual choreography video?
No.
So there's a video where the whole room is doing the choreography, and she's the only one that looks stupid doing
I did see the video of her rehearsing choreography in her car.
it.
And I got so much secondhand embarrassment because I was like, I'm pretty sure when I was a teenager, I did the performing arts thing in high school. I'm pretty sure we were just as cringy. At least I didn't have to do it in front of the world.
The last straw for me was she had that whole get up with the kiss like
Yeah, that
facial,
was weird.
and someone said, they were asking her about her idols and who she's trying to be like,
Elvis.
and she said Elvis, Michael Jackson, and Prince, which, girl, sit down. But then someone said, well, obviously you like Gene Simmons because obviously her face paint, and she was like, who's that?
I just saw the interview of her talking about Elvis and how he was like the first person to take risks.
Yeah,
And you're like,
or steal from black people, same difference though.
that was the risk, maybe.
Oh man, if JoJo Siwa really does follow Miley's footsteps, I just want her to know that she will not be accepted like Miley was if she does a rap video.
Miley
Okay.
wasn't accepted for that though. Like,
Listen, I
I'm
bumped that song with
really.
my J's on. With J's on.
Oh, no, that one's a hard pass
J's
for
on
me.
the
But
beat.
I still listen to Girlicious, so I'm not casting stones at anyone else's musical taste.
No,
2 a.m. is a banger. 2 a.m. is a banger.
I've loved Miley from the beginning, but JoJo,
Also,
I just no, no.
I did not know I was queer, and I was listening to Girlicious. What I'm saying is there were flags.
There were flags.
Like, it shouldn't have taken me as long to figure it out as it did take me because I
The
was
Ani
stuck in that.
DeFranco CD under the bed, yeah, all of that.
Oh, that wasn't under the bed. I had a lot of queer friends, but I got stuck asking myself an and question and an or question instead of an and question. And because I
Mhm.
knew I liked men, I just defaulted to straight because that was the default. And the only bisexual people in the narrative were attention-seeking girls. That was the narrative about anyone who declared themselves as bisexual. And
Yeah.
so I was like, well, I'm not attention seeking. I'm a weird virgin who doesn't want anyone to touch me. So like, I guess that's not me. Even though again, I watched the reality show to put Girlicious together into a group. The only reason to watch that show was the hot girls dancing. It was not quality television.
Most of it isn't.
But I did not catch on. But I'm telling you, go back and listen. Those songs are amazing. They've got that like early 2000 sheen to them. They are catchy as fuck.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Yeah.
Catchy as fuck. All right, guys. Well, we have met our limit. So, Kelly, thank you for
Awesome.
coming on.
Yeah, this is
Um,
really cool. This is great.
the people get your
Good times.
copy of Out Loud Anthology. You can get it from me. I could use the money. And I got to go to Charlotte next week. That in 2 weeks. Get the book. Get the book. Um, get Kelly's book when it comes out.
Yes, follow me on Instagram at Kelly Mary McAllister. I will post an update there.
Yes. Make sure to make it to my event on April 20th, holding space for sexual assault survivors. Um, I'm going to do my very best to take it seriously and not make jokes. We all know I'm very bad at that,
I
but
will hold you accountable.
I'm going, it's a very serious subject to me. So I'm going to do my best to honor it the way it should be done. As we know from last month's show, Doug and Jacob are working on a movie together that's coming out soon.
Ooh,
Yeah, documentary, spoken word documentary. Yep.
Spoken word
that's so
documentary.
cool.
Robert's
Yeah, it's
always doing something. He's not even a co-host, y'all, but he's here every Sunday that we do this, asking questions. So,
Just trying to continue to support the GLBT community.
we love it. We love it. Even though he refuses to say LGBTQ, but we still love him. All right, guys. But other than that, thank you for coming out.
Yep.
I'm gonna stop the recording and thank you all for listening. Find a way to support your queer artists. All right. It's Poetry Month.
Right, naturally, right. It is. Yeah. Yep.
Yes, it is natural poetry. Does anybody